Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I do hope you're well. I'm okay, thank you. I'm still, look, it's gonna, I think from what the doctors have said, this is gonna go on for ages of me feeling really quite tired. But generally, you know, I'm doing a little bit better each day, so that's great, yay. But I'm having a bit of I feel like I've got another cold starting, this is crazy. I am seeing a doctor again this afternoon, and in a few days I've got my first kind of repeat chest x-ray, and then I've got a repeat chest scan and all this. So there's lots going on around my kind of healthcare. You know, it's happening, I'm looking after myself as best I can, and I've now got some doctors involved, which is great. So yeah, it's just, I think it's going to be a fairly long, bumpy-ish ride, but never mind that. Anyway, right, so today we're talking about our low spend year. Today specifically about food. But just before we get into that, a couple of things. Firstly, how did you all get on with January? We set ourselves a really simple, straightforward task. Well, for me, it's simple and straightforward. I know for some folk, they will have loathed it. That is getting on top of our accounts. Going through all your bills, chucking out anything that's not necessary, cancelling direct debits that aren't necessary, looking for better deals with any of your suppliers that you have to use or you're regularly using. I've got one more bill that renews. I think it's just into the first week of March. It's for my home contents insurance. So over the next couple of weeks, I'll be having a look around to see if I can get a better deal than I've currently got. I've currently got quite a good deal based on, you know, a bit of a tussle last year. So I don't know if I'll get a better deal, but yes, hopefully you've all got on top of that now so that you're absolutely dead clear where you're at with your money, what you've got coming in, what debt you've got, and hopefully some of you will have taken up with that idea of keeping a money diary so that you're literally every day writing down every single time you spend even 1p. That will partly hopefully discourage you from spending on fripperies that you don't really need, but also to really help you to see where your money's going. So good, we've done that. That's a really good foundation. I hope you've done it. And one of the things we also talked about was having a really clear goal, knowing why you want to reduce your spending. We've talked about this. It may be for a specific item like the new fridge. We keep talking about the new fridge, or because you really, really want to get your credit card debt paid off because it's, you know, spiraling, etc., etc. Having that clear goal, great. What I didn't do was talk about my goal, because to be honest, at the beginning of the year, I didn't really have a specific goal. I'm just always looking to reduce my spending if I can. However, something occurred to me. It's kind of ironic because I started to think about it before I went into hospital. It was about the second week of January, and I was really starting to feel grottier and grottier. Sorry, I don't mean to bang on about this, but it's the circumstance that promoted me to think about this. Yeah, I was feeling more and more grotty each day, and feeling like I was achieving less and less each day. And I was thinking, oh God, I could just do with a whole week off. I could do with a whole week off to just rest. That had been my thought. And I was thinking, well, how much would it cost me to have a week off? Not in terms of having a holiday and going away and doing something, but literally just to stop work for a week. So no shop, no sewing, no video making, nothing. Stop everything. Well, it would cost me about £100 a week, because that's what I live on. And that's for everything. So that's all my bills. So all the bills for my house, but also I have bills for the business. So my website costs me, the PO box costs me, all these things add up. plus a bit of food, the food that I don't grow. Obviously I don't grow everything. So yeah, £100 a week is basically what I have to have as a bottom line to just keep everything going. So that had been in my mind, and I thought, yeah, I should, you know, if I saved up £100, I could take a whole week off. Oh, that'd be amazing. Anyway, of course, then I end up in hospital, and I come out of hospital, and I'm still like pretty floppy. It's the best way to put it. I'm floppy. And I thought, you know what, for my saving goal, I'm going to make it 2 weeks. I'm going to try this year to save £200, which is quite a chunk. But £200 would mean either 2 sort of 1 week breaks from all the work. So a whole week off, say, in the very early spring before, say, the garden kicks off too much. Or, you know, in the spring when the garden is kicking off and I just get on with the garden, but with no camera, no YouTubing, none of that. And then another week, say, in the autumn or in the winter. Or, and this is why it really came to mind when I was in hospital, that would be sufficient to have 2 weeks off if I was poorly. And, you know, it was about 2 weeks I went without doing any YouTube. Obviously I'm back on it now. I have to be, because I don't have savings, so I have to work. I have to produce videos. I've been doing more shop stock this morning, for instance. The sewing machine is set up. I'm about to start into a load of new sewing. I can't not work because there's no safety net. However, that's what I really, really want to give myself. I want to give myself the equivalent of sick pay, if that makes sense. I think that's a really, really sensible goal for me. Sorry, am I kicking the table and therefore all of you? Yeah, so it's a really sensible goal. I've made a couple of notes there. So £200 a year is the equivalent of, it's about £16.50 per month, or £3.85, call it £4 per week. How can I save £4 a week? Well, I've already saved, what did I reckon, about £4 per month on my new broadband deal. So that's about £1 a week. So I need another £3 a week saving somewhere. So yeah, focused on it. And I think, you know, this having a low spend year, I think it's not about being, you know, being gimmicky with it and being like, oh, let's play at being poor, you know, because being poor is not fun. Hopefully, by doing all these things, you know, if nothing else, this is a slightly more sustainable way of living, and we all need to think about the sustainability of all our activities. You know, we're all, hopefully by now, highly aware of the need for sustainability across the board. But also, you know, bills are going up. This fuel crisis at the moment is crazy. So we need to protect ourselves a little bit from that being imposed on us. Interest rates are starting to go back up again in the UK. That's great for savers. But most of us probably aren't savers. Most of us probably have debt. And those of us who have debt, when those interest rates go up, the cost of repaying that debt goes up. And I don't mean this in a doomy, gloomy, scaremongery way. I'm just trying to say, look, these things are happening. So yes, let's try as far as possible to take control of our finances and stop, you know, essentially this is about stop wasting money on unnecessary nonsense. Let's focus on getting our basic needs serviced and serviced well. This is not about walking around in sackcloth and eating crumbs. We still want to live well. Let's live well, but on less, and be less, you know, tossed around in the storm and the vagaries of the outside influences. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so food. The obvious thing, and you know what I'm going to say. Excuse me, this feels really scratchy this morning. The obvious thing I'm going to say is grow your own if you can. I was a little bit dismayed. I think it was around Christmas time. I saw a video. By the way, remember I was saying about as part of my convalescence of just zoning out of the computer, getting off social media. It's been brilliant. It's been wonderful. Anyway, around Christmas, I saw someone who had been trying to grow their own, but not really giving it a good effort, and doing pretty much everything wrong. I often say there's no right and wrong in gardening, but there are some wrongs, like trying to grow vegetables in deep shade with no space for their roots. And this person had come to the conclusion that it wasn't worth it. They'd spent more money on seeds than they'd got produce. And I thought, well, yeah, it's because you didn't give the plants any chance. I have totted up my produce over the years. I did it again a couple of years ago. I'll see if I can remember to link that card now about what my produce was worth. And when I totted up, it was November, I still hadn't had all my produce in. And at that stage, it worked out at about £1,500, £1,500 worth of vegetables for an initial investment of about £200. So yeah, growing your own is, for me, it's a no-brainer. It is the way forward to save a heap of money on food. But I do realise a lot of people do not have an allotment, or do not have a big garden, etc, etc. So that's probably off the table for a lot of people, most people. However, if you have got a small space, even a balcony, a little back patio, somewhere that's getting a bit of sunshine, it might be worth considering growing just a few things. And I think one of the things that's great to grow that will save you some money is all the different lettuces. I went the other day, recently, a couple of days ago, I went to a local supermarket and another local it's sort of like a supermarket. I went to two shops specifically to look at bagged salad leaves. And they ranged in price from anything from about £1 up to about £2.50 for, well, so very few leaves. And then the use by date, I looked because they go off so quickly. There were only about 2 days to use them. And I was thinking, yeah, if there's only one thing you can grow, maybe make it some type of lettuce salad type leaves, if you eat those kind of things. I mean, if you don't eat them, don't grow them. That's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? But yeah, if you like those things, if you find yourself buying bagged salad with every single shop you do, that might be one little thing you can do to save a bit of money. You can do them in succession. So even if you've just got 2 or 3 pots outside on your patio, so each pot 2 or 3 weeks apart. And then by the time you're into the 3rd pot and harvesting from them, and the the harvest is over, resow the 1st pot. Just a little tiny thing. But if you are able to grow in your garden or on an allotment, well, you've seen all my videos. You grow the stuff that's expensive to buy in the shops, grow stuff that stores well for long term. So like the squash, they don't take any energy to store. Brilliant. Okay, so let's get away from the whole grow your own thing, because if you can't, there's no point in us even talking about it. So, and I'm sure you all have tons and tons of ideas about ways to save on your food shop. Brilliant. Chuck them in the comments below. Let's share. I'm just going to rattle through a few of these ideas now. Okay, we talked briefly the other day about, I called it swapping down, although I think of it as swapping up because you're gaining, because it's costing less. Think about swapping from a really big brand to a less well-known brand, or from the brand to the store's own brand. That's usually quite a chunk of saving, and quite often within a supermarket they'll have a super cheap range. I think, oh, excuse me, itchy schnozzle. Is it oh, I can't think, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to go into specifics of supermarkets, but you get what I'm saying. So instead of having your Heinz beans for £1 a can, you might have the supermarket own brand of beans for 50p a can, or they might do a super simple range and it's 20p a can. So yeah, swap down. Brand, supermarket zone. Also think about swapping down in terms of your actual supermarket. So if you're accustomed to shopping at Waitrose, lucky you, maybe swap down to Sainsbury's or Tesco's. If you know you're like a lot of people, you're at Sainsbury's, Tesco's, that sort of thing, swap down to Aldi or Lidl. We've got a Lidl here, which I had never shopped at. Oh, I don't know, I think we'd had it here about 5 years and I just never went in because I thought it was basically, it wasn't even out of a snobbishness from me, but I just thought it was going to be a junk shop, like sort of like pound shop for food. I thought it was all going to be really junky, trashy, rubbish food. So I didn't go in there for years. And then our local, we had like a Safeway that turned into a Co-op, that turned into a Morrison's. It kept changing, and one day it closed completely. And so that was it. There was only the Lidl supermarket on my high street. We've now got a load of supermarkets again. So I was kind of forced to go to Lidl. Oh my goodness, I was so pleasantly surprised. Honestly, if you are right now like I was 6 or 7 years ago, if in your head, you've got it in your head that those supermarkets are rubbish, keep out, please, please, please go in and have a look, because the pricing, I reckon, when you see them advertising it as well, don't you? It's about a third cheaper than the regular supermarkets. That's a huge saving. I mean, if you're doing a family shop each week that's costing £50, the chances are you'll be able to do it in Lidl for sort of between £30 and £35. Fantastic. So yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised by that swap down, and I stuck with it. So now when I am topping up things I need that I don't grow, I go to that kind of bottom supermarket as is. You know, the quality is absolutely fine. I've had no issues with the quality. So yeah, swap down. The other one with the supermarkets is, and this is a case of you have to get used to the different supermarkets in your area. You'll have to find out when they do it. But the yellow sticker moment, yay! So the yellow sticker for the reduced price on things which are about to go beyond their sell-by date. Excuse me. It's not necessarily best before date, but it's a sell-by date. So you'll often see it with fresh produce, all our fruit and veggies. You'll often see it with bread. I'm trying to think what else I mean, sometimes you'll see the yellow stickers. Like the fresh stuff. So if you think about things that you might get in the chiller cabinet. I don't know about meat. I'm not even going to talk about that, but that's probably in there too. Yeah, it's well worth having a look and getting to know when they do the yellow stickers. So I've got a couple of supermarkets around me. One of them does a big yellow stickering first thing in the morning, and it's the very, very, very last chance for things. That's usually a real bargain, and that's sort of about 8 o'clock in the morning. Then they do another yellow stickering at about, I think it must be about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I tend to catch that if I'm sort of coming home from the allotment. That's okay, it's not a huge reduction. They're still kind of thinking, oh, there's a few hours, because the shop is open until, I think it's about 11 o'clock at night. So there's still a few hours for them to try and sell it. But then at about 9 o'clock, boom, the price goes right down. Now, I realise for some people, going shopping at 9 o'clock at night is not ideal. It's not going to suit a lot of people. But you know what, if you're a night owl like me, if you live in a city and therefore you live just yards away from these shops which are open late, yeah, have a look. Maybe have a habit of you know, you have your evening walk at sort of 8:30, 9. On your way home from your evening walk, pop in, look at the yellow stickers, and it might be that, oh, they've got a load of tomatoes on sale, or even with something like the bread. The thing about the yellow stickers is they do need using up now. And you might think, well, it's now 9, 10 o'clock at night, I'm not going to eat now. But that's why we've got our freezers. So if it's sliced bread, or bread, you know, and it's been reduced to 25p, grab it, get it home, and whack it in the freezer. Either put it into individual portions, like 2 slices, in a little freezer box or whatever, in the freezer, or, you know, put the whole loaf in and just, you can hack a couple of slices off each time. I like to put in 2 slices at a time. Brilliant, in the freezer. With things like fruit and veg, because I am a night owl, it's the sort of thing where I might think, well, I'll make a soup this evening because there's still plenty of evening left. I'll make up a quick batch of soup, whack it in the freezer, done. Or just do it first thing in the morning, really first thing in the morning. The food will still be good enough to use in the morning. So yeah, make the most of the yellow sticker area, and also have just note in your supermarket where it is. So for instance, I'm thinking of my main supermarket that I use. There's one yellow sticker area that's in the chiller cabinets, and it's the little bottom shelf, and it's just all sorts in there. Like sometimes you might say a custard slice, and I think, ooh, custard slice. Don't need it, but I really want it. Don't need it. I really want it. I'm gonna have it. No. So the chiller, and then the non-chiller section is over towards the tills. So have a little look in your local places and find out when they do their. You know what? Just ask a member of staff as well. Just say, listen, I'm on a really tight budget. When do you do your yellow stickers? They might actually have an ounce of empathy for you and tell you when. Now the other thing, I hear about this a lot from friends in the States. We don't really have it here so much. Is couponing. People always say to me, why don't you use coupons? I just don't ever see them. I don't know if we still maybe get them in newspapers, but I don't take a newspaper. And I'm not about to start buying a newspaper in order to try and save money, you know, it's whatever. But yeah, obviously, if you have access to coupons, yes, clip your coupons and keep hold of them. But here's the thing, don't be fooled into buying something you wouldn't normally buy just because you got a coupon and you think, oh, but it's a really good saving. If you wouldn't normally buy it, and if that's going to be extra in your shop that week, then you're not actually saving, are you? You're spending more. So just be careful with all things like discounts and offers, and even the yellow sticker stuff. You know, if it's not something you would normally eat, if you're going to be buying it on top of your normal shop, then it's not a saving, it's an extra expense. So yeah, don't be fooled. Just head down, I'm going to look at my notes. Great thing in the UK, I know quite a few supermarkets have introduced it, do look out for it, is the wonky veg section. Veg being sold at half the price in some cases of regular veg. Why? Just because it's not quite the right shape. I mean, how crazy, that's crazy. 2 things. One, at least it's not now going and being chopped up and composted. That's what used to happen. Farmers would have to chuck their produce away because it wasn't the perfect shape for the supermarket. So it's great that it's not being wasted. And 2, great for us that we can now get our hands on veg quite a bit cheaper. So yeah, and if your supermarket doesn't have a wonky veg scheme, write to the manager, ask them why they don't, and ask them to introduce it. You know, whilst we're doing all this, we can campaign for change as well, because even if we don't see that change straight away for ourselves, let's lay the groundwork for that change for the future. Yay. So wonky veg, tinned and frozen veg. I'm thinking like tinned pulses and that sort of thing. Good long shelf life. Quite often tinned and frozen veg can be cheaper than the fresh stuff. and usually, you know, nutrition wise, quite comparable. So if you're really skint and the fresh produce section is looking a bit expensive for you, do look at tin section. And I know certainly in the UK these days our tinned produce, you know, veggies, they're in water, they're not in salt anymore. There was so much salt in tinned veg when I was a kid growing up. It was disgusting, vile. They're just in water now. Great. So yeah, do consider tinned and frozen produce as well if you don't normally. Because yeah, it can be a little tiny bit of a saving. Really good thing to think about if you don't already do it is look at your local markets, farmers markets, buying direct from a farm. Does your farm have a farm shop? Now I know you might think, well, I live in a city. I do, but we do have farmers markets that go on, so check them out. And even if it's not a farmers market, even if it's just your regular street market, like up in Lewisham, which is sort of the village one, sort of 2 or 3 away from me, big open street market every day, masses and masses and masses of veggies and fruit being sold. Usually that's a fair bit cheaper again than supermarkets. So do your research, have a look around. And the big thing with all of this, especially with the produce, with the fruit and veggies, is really get disciplined about eating seasonal produce. So don't be putting on your shopping list strawberries in February. They're going to cost a fortune because they will have had to have been grown with heat, with light. They've probably had to be imported. They've been on a long journey here. And this is what I was saying right at the beginning about sustainability as well. This isn't just about us saving a few quid. This is about the much bigger picture of sustainability. Strawberries in February, the price is too high. I mean the literal price, but also the moral price. It's too high. What fruit can we be eating in February? You might just start to see some rhubarb. But otherwise, you know, we might still have our hard orchard fruits, our apples and pears. They may have stored since last October, whatever. But yeah, try to get into the habit of eating seasonal produce. So again, tomatoes. Don't be eating tomatoes in winter. A fortune. Conversely, when they are in season, something like your tomatoes in the summer, do consider having a mindset of being a bit of a homesteader, a bit of a self-sufficiency girl, and I think, well, actually that price is so amazingly, you know, I can get buckets and buckets of tomatoes really cheaply because there's a massive glut of them because they're in season. Brilliant, buy a load of them, enjoy them fresh, but also consider doing your own bottling or the freezing of them so that in the winter, when the price has gone shooting up again, you've got your own supply in the freezer for yourself. Brilliant. Although tinned tomatoes are pretty cheap, aren't they? But yeah, you know, it's something to consider, not necessarily just the tomatoes, but things like the fruit. When the fruit is in season and there's a big glut, is it something you can make your own jam from? Is it worth making your own jam? So yeah, think about seasonal eating, shopping at the market, buying in bulk when things are cheap, the seasonal produce, in order to store your own. Avoid the out of season foods because they're going to be massively expensive. The big thing with all of this food saving is doing your own cooking the majority of the time. Now, I'm not going to suggest that everybody cook from scratch every single meal. I do, and it is exhausting. I was mentioning this the other day. It is really tiring, and every now and again I think, oh, I'd just love to pick up the phone and call and ring out for a pizza. Just save myself the effort of cooking. However, doing all your own cooking is going to save you, I think it's going to save you a small fortune. I'm not going to talk about takeaways and all that stuff now. That's going to come in another episode of this little low spend thing when we talk about entertainment and boredom and all those things. I'm going to leave takeaways for that day. But yeah, do your own cooking. Maybe, and this is the habit I'm trying to get back into, it's my old habit, is on a Sunday I do a load of cooking for the whole week, so try to get most of my cooking done in one day. Fill up the freezer with a ton of ready meals, fill up the fridge with meals for at least the next sort of 3 or 4 days, and after the 4th day I'll be getting stuff out of the freezer. Do it in one fell swoop. Hopefully you will make savings that way, A, because you're doing your own cooking, but B, because if you're buying ingredients in bulk and cooking them all up in one go, that should work out more economically too. Also, yes, think about, and I was thinking what would be the, so sorry, just to say before I'm kind of bouncing around, I'm aware, I was trying to keep this one a bit shorter today. Make it fun. Have a day to do some research. It's like we were saying about getting all your accounts in order. It's worth spending a whole day. I know we're all fantastically busy and a whole day seems like a huge sacrifice, but a whole day to do your accounting and all of that stuff. I think it's worthwhile spending a whole day getting out into your neighbourhood and doing your research on who's selling what for how much. What are the yellow sticker times in my various supermarkets? I've got 1, 2, 3, I've got 4 little supermarkets all within walking distance here. So yeah, one of their yellow sticker times. Who is selling brown rice the cheapest? Who is selling olive oil the cheapest? Who's got the best, not necessarily on offer, but for their sort of standard things. So yeah, go out, do your bit of research in that from that point of view, but also do a bit of research in terms of recipes. Either sit down with all your own recipe books or check things out online and have a little look around at some of the sort of more frugal recipes that there are. I mean, all of the recipes on my channel, they're all frugal, just by nature of the fact that that's, well, because I've grown the food, doesn't cost me anything, but I'm just not expensive when it comes to cooking. Things like, I'm just going to grab and show, hold on a sec, I've got both of them over here. These two, great source of really frugal recipes, and you'll be able to get these books either at a charity shop or your local library. I've got a girl called Jack. That's damp on the bottom. Has my boiler leaked? Right, oh no. Right, oh no. I'll have to check this out in a minute. Okay, let's finish this video so I can check out this problem. And then her next book, Cooking on a Bootstrap. Look. Oh no. I don't need any more problems. Anyway, so yeah, do some research some recipes, research your local shops, etc. And the other thing to think about is maybe keeping a sort of food diary. Not a food diary because we're all about to go on a really horrible diet. No, I don't mean that. I mean in terms of, make a note over, this is a kind of longer term project, but maybe make a note whenever you go shopping of when you're buying your dried produce and your longer storing produce, so your rice, lentils, flour, oats, pasta, that sort of thing. Make a note when you buy them and how much. And if you see a pattern, like you might think, I'm buying a kilo of brown rice every month. Then you might think to yourself, actually, to buy 10 kilos of brown rice is much cheaper to buy a 10 kilo bag than a 1 kilo bag. And a 10 kilo bag of rice, its use by is 2 years. So I know I'm going to use that in 10 months. So yeah, swap. I can swap to buying in a much, much bigger bag. Now you might think, but I've got no room for that at home. Here's another little Saturday project. Go through your cupboards, have a sort out, get rid of the clutter and the junk in your cupboards. Get it out. In your food cupboard, are there things which are out of date? Are there things which are about to go out of date? You can get an idea going through your cupboards of, I bought that for one recipe, I never used it, or I've only used it for that one recipe, what a waste that was, don't buy that again. But yeah, make some space for storing things in bulk. If you want to go the bulk route, but you think, I don't quite have quite enough space, think about doing it with a friend. So if you know, for example, you eat a load of brown rice and your friend eats a load of brown rice, maybe you can buy a 10 kilo bag together and divvy it out. Have 5 kilos each, which you can manage to store. You can both store that. I think this would be a fun thing to do with a friend anyway. It's always fun to do things with friends because you can challenge each other, you can inform each other, inspire each other, share recipes. I'm really gutted about those books, and I am going to have to go and have a look now to see where that wet has come from. Sorry, that's kind of slightly on my mind now. So maybe do that with a food diary, or you might not even need to. You might know, actually, these are the things which I'm always buying. So again, get out into your neighbourhood, do a bit of research. Is there somewhere local that you can buy these things in bulk? I've got, of all the places I've just talked about, the regular supermarkets don't do that sort of thing for me. But my Turkish supermarket does. I can buy rice in bulk with them. You might have Asian supermarkets or Indian supermarkets, etc., where you are, where those sort of ingredients can be bought in bulk. So buy in bulk. Do all your own cooking, scratch cooking. Is cook in bulk. Share bulk purchases with friends if you can. Research your recipes. Find a good, I would say maybe a stock of 10 basic recipes. You might want 10 that are sort of winter, early spring, and 10 that are sort of summer, autumn, so that you can kind of almost not have to think about it anymore. Just get things made and done. Anything else to add? Oh, of course, on food, sorry, little tiny notes. Packed lunch for work. I mean, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? That's a huge saving. If you take your own work lunch to work instead of buying something on the way, you know, you do your big cook on a Sunday, think about making 5 lunches at the same time. It will depend what you've got at work, if you've got a microwave so you can reheat a cooked meal, or if the only option is sandwiches and something cold, well, yeah, make them in the morning, get up 15 minutes earlier to make your sandwiches. You could maybe do all the prep the night before. It really won't take you long to make a packed lunch. It will save you a fortune. Likewise, what's with the takeout coffees? Stop buying coffee in the street. Have a cup of coffee at home in the morning before you leave. And if you really can't manage to get from your house to your place of work without drinking some coffee, get yourself one of those carry-out cups, those insulated cups. Make the coffee at home, and you can still have your coffee on your way to work, but it's going to cost you a fraction. And we're not going to be chucking cups in landfill all the time. And then, of course, if you're like me, if you're just happy with water over coffee, invest in a glass bottle or a metal bottle, a reusable bottle. Ditch that. I mean, does anybody still drink water from a plastic bottle? Does anyone still buy bottled water? I mean, I guess people do, and sometimes our water gets contaminated. Obviously, sometimes whatever. Let's not get into the politics of clean drinking water. But yeah, a bottle. Love it. I love me some water. Right, I've gone on quite a long time. I didn't really want to make this quite so long. I hope that's useful. I hope that sparks some ideas. I hope it sparks conversation amongst you all down there. That would be great. Brilliant. I'm going to wrap it up though, because A, I don't want to keep it too long, and B, I want to go and find out why my books have got wet. Oh, let's hope it's not a major issue. Alright lovelies, I will see you again really soon. I'm not sure where, maybe in the, I was going to say maybe in the garden, but there's not really much going on in the garden apart from tidy up. But oh yeah, there's going to be some sewings, there's going to be some indoor sewing. So I might see you with my hands in the dirt, or I might see you at the sewing machine. Anyway, I'll see you all soon. Until then, please take care of yourselves. I'm going to go off now and take care of myself. Take care of yourselves until I see you the next time. Please. Until then, cheerio.